Hello, YouTube. Rayne sans Gryphon. She had to work early in the morning, so she couldn't stick around after the movie. She's in bed now, so I decided to just make this video on my own. To start off, we went and saw Riddick, the new Vin Diesel movie, number 4 or 3 if you don't count the cartoon, or the anime, excuse me, which I do. I loved it. This was fourth in the Chronicles of Riddick. I wish they could have just kept calling it the Chronicles of Riddick and just gave it a sub name, but you know they did what they did. Other than that, I absolutely loved the movie. I thought it was a great addition. It called back to Chronicles of Riddick. It also called back to Pitch Black, which is one of my favorite movies of Vin Diesel's. Probably maybe number 1 or 2. I quite enjoyed the movie. It follows Riddick from when he was king or became king in the Chronicles of Riddick of the Necromancers into where he's at now. And the opening scene is just, the whole movie is just visually amazing. He is left for dead on a planet. The whole first maybe 20-30 minutes is just basically the opening scene, but it was great. He's traveling this world where he's just kind of trying to survive. He's nothing but him and animals and creatures around. He takes on a few creatures. Some are like animals, some are not. But when it comes down to, though, this is a movie about a guy and his dog. And anybody that's seen it and watched this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is Old Yeller with Vin Diesel. And I'll get to that later. Basically, he is trying to survive, and he ends up getting to a spot where he can get to civilization, but to get past one gigantic, mean-looking crab / scorpion creature that has venom in its teeth like a snake. It was basically anything bad you could think of. This creature was it. Kind of remember, if you remember from the Pitch Black, this kind of like those creatures. It's something so horrifying. But basically, he builds up an immunity to their venom after getting one of the creatures killed and just kind of extracting the venom, which small doses only gives you paralysis for a little while, knocks you out and gives you paralysis. A whole bunch would kill you, and that's basically what he does. Is he builds up an immunity by capturing one of the babies of the dogs, dog-like creatures, I guess you call them, and he gets this animal and he puts it on this animal, sees how it affects it, and realizes it's just in small doses it's a paralyzer, so he decides to inject himself after that, and he pretty much raises this dog-like creature, and it becomes his dog through the first half, if not the first 3/4 of the movie, and it added a lot to this movie. I thought seeing Riddick being, I don't want to say domesticated, because he wasn't. He was still killing shit and killing people and doing all kinds of things, but he proceeded to befriend this dog. He raised it from a pup to the big giant creature it was then, and it was a great story when it come to that. He continues on, gets past the creature. Like I said, he builds immunity and is able to not have to face its venom and kill itself, or kill him. And so he gets past it and gets to this place where he sends off a beacon. The beacon brings two different bounty hunters to the area. One is just normal bounty hunter looking for money, because Riddick's worth a lot of money, obviously. He's worth double dead than he is alive, so if that tells you anything. And then the second one is bounty hunters that will look specifically for him. And I'll get into that in a minute with spoilers, so I'll start spoilers here. Carl Urban makes an appearance for a little bit, because whenever Riddick's trying to survive at the beginning, it shows what happened between Chronicles of Riddick and where he's at then, which I thought was great. They didn't just start the movie and he's screwed up again. They show how he ends up where he ends up, which was good, and it was just a great way to storyboard into this one. Going back to that, the second bounty hunter comes down, the guy pretty much tells off the beginning, so it's not really a spoiler that much, even unless you haven't seen it. And then you don't know if you haven't seen the first Pitch Black, then then of course it's not either. But it's Johns is his name, and if you remember in the first one, I can't remember the guy's name, Combe something, but the first one had Johns, and this is his father, which is this is the only thing that really bothered me in the movie. Everything else was pretty good. Johns in this movie is playing the father of the one in the first one, yet they look about the same age, like they could be brothers. It didn't look like father and son, it looked like brothers. So his age is the only problem I had, or the new John's age is the only problem I had with this movie, really. But like I said, it goes through the first bounty hunters are threatening to kill him and put his head in a box just to try to get him out, so that plays later on in the movie. The characters they have, I mean, I hate to say it because I'm really not a fan of his, but David Bautista actually did a good job in his role. He played the muscle, but yet he was a smart muscle. So it kind of played pretty well. And of course, Riddick, sets them against each other and tells them, look, there's two ships here, leave one, take the other, and I'll leave you alive. And, the first three people doesn't take him seriously, so he kills them off, and then they capture him because he frankly offers them a deal. He comes up and offers them a deal, and it's their own fault that they didn't take it, I guess. But the movie, killing spree here and there, but the last half of the movie, the climax was great because there was a storm coming and you didn't know what was behind the storm, but you find out later that the creatures that were in the water follow water. So this rainstorm had pretty much brought all those creatures that he fought at the beginning with the fangs and the scorpion tail and the spider I was telling you about, like the mixture of all evil things, ends up bringing all of them with the rain because they can follow with the water. Well, he ends up kind of joining with the forces with the rest of they're down to like 9 at that point, with the rest of the bounty hunters, and they go after where he hid the engine parts. They took the engine parts out of the spaceship so that he couldn't get them, locked them up. They unlocked it because pretty much they're idiots. And they played that scene pretty well because it's like, no, we shouldn't, yes we should, no we shouldn't, yes we should. So Riddick puts them against each other, so it just kind of played out pretty well. He then takes the engine parts and hides them out in the desert where he's at until the rainstorm comes, and then he has to go get them at the end to help them. So basically, there's 4 or 5 people left near the end. There's one person. God, what'd they call her? I can't think of what her name is. That's why I need Gryphon. She reminds me of all the names. But the girl in this, Dahl, or Dahl, I think it was something like that. They played her up. Basically, she was a tough lesbian, but she pretty much gets hit on and shows her tits like she's supposed to. And I guess in a Riddick movie, whenever a girl has to show some tits in a Riddick movie, I guess the third one did, the second one did, the first one did. So I don't know if the first one did actually, but this one they did. I guess you got to have tits in a Riddick movie now, or it's a requirement. But I forgot my friend's thought. Okay, they proceed to pretty much belittle her. Like the leader of the other mercs is pretty much trying to rape her, and she beats the hell out of him. She's strong, independent, and says she doesn't fuck men. Yet at the end, near the end, she ends up basically telling Riddick he's going to get some. So I don't know if does that make her bi then, or does that make her a hypocrite, or what does that make her in the lesbian world? She says she doesn't do men, but she's going to do Riddick. I guess Riddick, Vin Diesel envelops everything that a lesbian is, except for he has a dick, I guess. That's another thing in the movie. It just kind of like, what? She's a lesbian. Why is she willing to give it to Riddick? But the jokes played on that was pretty funny. It was a little sexist, but not too bad, I don't think. Gryphon probably agree, maybe disagree. I don't know. She's not here, so haha, I can do what I want. Basically, the movie comes down to John's Batista, can't remember his character name, Diaz and Vin Diesel, Riddick going to get finally going to get the engine parts to make them work for both things. They Batista or Diaz turns on both them, and Riddick ends up killing him. The deaths are great in this. I mean, the murders, the kills. I mean, it's as bloody as you expect from a Riddick movie. But he messes up the bikes that got there, the floating motorcycles, which the CG on that was kind of weird. It didn't really look, as Gryphon said, it didn't look as realistic. So I'll put her 2 cents in. And you know what? After looking at it again, yeah, she's right. The first time I saw it, it kind of looked okay. The second time was, but the jokes, going back to that. So he ends up destroying the bikes, and they have to walk their way back to, like in the first movie, had to walk their way back to the spaceships with the engine parts, the power sources. And let me go back to that. The jokes in this were great. I mean, they were quick and smart, and Vin Diesel's facial reactions to it and everything. I mean, it was just the characters all through this movie. Every one of the characters played their roles well. There might have been one that was kind of over-hammy, but he didn't really overshadow nothing. But I really liked the characters they did in this movie. Well, anyway, they end up running back to the ships, but fighting the creatures at them. Johns and Riddick fighting the creatures. Riddick ends up getting a wound from one of the creature's teeth bit into him, so he's pretty much incapacitated at that point. Johns looks like he's about to pick him, and he basically just rolls him over and grabs the pack off him, like, yeah, you're just like your son, even though it should be your brother because you're young looking. But he pretty much takes the pack from him and runs back to the ship. You see him get in the ship. You see him get up and start flying away. Riddick gets up, takes the tooth out of him, cauterizes the wound with a piece of burning rock or something, cauterizes whatever the wound, and he starts running up a hill and just fighting the creatures trying to get up to this hill. All of a sudden you see laser shoots and just starts destroying the creatures trying to get him. The girl lowers down, grabs Vin Diesel, straddles him, and picks him up a line to get into the spaceship. And that's where it's like, she's like, I can't remember exactly what the line was, but it was like, let me whisper sweet nothings to you, or say sweet things to you. And right there, Johns ends up saving Riddick. The father Johns ends up saving Riddick, even though his son Johns was trying to kill him, or get the money at least. So it gave the Johns character, through his generation, I guess, his what do you call that? His heritage. His dad made up for the sins of the son instead of the sins of the father, sins of the son. And he ends up going up. Riddick takes one of the ships. He takes the other, and says, Riddick, I hope to never see you again, but wherever you're going, I hope you feel right going there or something. And then he tells him, he says, you take care, and tell Doll, or whatever her name was, that keep it warm for me. So it ends on a joke there. Only 4 characters last, and one of them is just a junior league. One of them is just a junior league character. He's a kid who was just, I don't know if he was training or what, but he was just kind of there. The girl doll character, which was the only one of 2 girls in the movie, even though they show a few more, but I'll tell you that. Johns and then Riddick were the only 4 to survive. And that's the only other thing I have problem with the movie. I thought I was only one, but there's 2. The beginning, when he talks about being the leader and in charge, they're tit shot of girls in that, tit shot this, tit shot that, and I'm like, I'm okay with that, but what was the point? It was really no point other than put tits there. The girl getting undressed, there was there was a point to that, but she just showed her tits, and then don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, but it was just like there was no real point behind it other than him getting a mirror from her, but he could have done that at any time. But all in all, that's nitpicking. This movie was a great movie. I enjoyed it. If it's a great action movie. I think it's better than Chronicles of Riddick. I don't think it's up to par with Pitch Black because we didn't know what to expect there. If we had seen this before Pitch Black, I think it still would have stood up. These movies, though, the first one, the anime I enjoyed. The third one I thought was okay, and then this one was great. This was a good next chapter, if it's not the last chapter, because he got away, so it probably won't be. But I think it was a great job done with this one. The director, Vin Diesel, the characters in this, all of them did a great job. All in all, I'd give this movie maybe a 4 out of 5. It wasn't great. It wasn't perfect, but it was a damn good time, and I enjoyed it. So we'll be right back with trailers. Okay, now the trailers we saw were Insidious 2, The Prisoners, or Prisoners, I guess, not The Prisoners, and The Family. Prisoners was first. We may have talked about this before, I'm not sure, but I've seen the preview before. Really quite enjoyed the look of it. It's a home invasion, or not really home invasion, but it's that type of movie. It basically a guy, Hugh Jackman's daughters gets kidnapped from a guy in what they call it, a trailer, the truck with the camper on the back, a truck camper, I guess, I don't know. But he ends up going off and doing all kinds of crazy things, trying to get the cop to help him, who's Jake Gyllenhaal. Bunch of different people in this movie. Maria Bello, and it looks like a really good movie, but it still looks like one of those kidnapping, try to find my girl, Mel Gibson ransom type movies. So I'm kind of on the fence about this one. I want to see it, but at the same time, I don't know if I want to see it at theater. It all depends on what comes out that week. Number 2 was The Family. I will see this movie whether it sucks or not for one simple reason. And anybody that watched my top 10 movies will, which is a previous video I did a couple of days ago before this one, you'll see that I'm a big fan of Luc Besson. The Transporter movies, Banditos was good. The Taken movies, I've really enjoyed his work. And Fifth Element, I mean, I'm just enjoy what he creates. And so this one looks good to me. Even if it didn't, I'd be there. So I'm a definite gonna see. This will be one of our reviews. So just be prepared for it in a couple weeks, I guess. And the third one was Insidious 2, which comes out Friday the 13th. And I don't know about Gryphon, but I am could care less about horror movies. I liked them in the past, I liked them in the 80s, don't get me wrong, the classics are the classics, I'm a huge Puppet Master fan. I liked the Friday the 13th, the first and the second one. It just depends on, I guess, your what you enjoy, but I don't enjoy these new jump scare movies. They're just not for me. I mean, it's like, oh, I couldn't care less. It didn't look interesting. I didn't see the first one. I'm not going to see this one. Maybe she will. I'm not going, but if I do watch it, you prepare to be panned, because whether it's good or not, it ain't going to matter to me. It's just going to be something that's just kind of there. So, thank you. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Tell Gryphon if you miss her on these videos that she needs to stop going to bed so early or go to bed earlier and then get up later, or whatever you want to say. Just please like, subscribe, and comment. I'd appreciate any comments. I've yet to get one for these videos, but I'd like to know your feedback. Thank you, and have a good day.